All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us at Family Connection Hours. My name is Kevin Simmons. I'm the Director of Parent and Family Programs here at Auburn. And I'm joined by Jenna Richards, who is joining us from Human Resources to talk a little bit more about student employment options. So I'm not going to waste any more time. Jenna, I'll let you take it away.
Okay, good deal. So this session is going to be all about working on campus. So I am assistant manager of talent acquisition, and what our team is tasked with doing is just getting people to work at the university. And so student employees are no different there. They actually make up our largest subset of employees here at Auburn. So we love our student workers and we take our jobs in facilitating those processes very seriously because we want your students to get some good work experience and be able to take that and apply that to their careers after Auburn, right? Because that's the goal. Okay, so normally working on campus is not a huge sell, but I like to take a few moments and convince you on why it's such a good thing. So the first is money, right? I know parents are like, yes, please have them earn some money. The second is work experience. So maybe your student is coming here without a lot of previous work experience. Working on campus is what we call kind of a softer way to get some work experience because it's a friendly environment for learning how to be an employee. And our supervisors, our faculty and staff members understand that their main role here is to be a student. And so we're all here to support and facilitate that. So that means flexible scheduling. It means that our supervisors truly understand the challenges of being a student. They know that during breaks, they're going to need to go home. They're just overall, I think, a little bit more flexible than maybe an employer off campus would be. In addition to that, working on campus is a great way to build up some social and professional connections. So maybe your student is coming here without a large social network, or is having trouble building one since they've been here. Working on campus is a great way to just get plugged in with people. I worked at the campus pool when I was in college, and those memories are like my core memories about going to school. And I ended up being like best friends with the people that I worked with. So that's a great way to get plugged in. It's also a great way to start building up those professional networks. So, when they start trying to get their jobs after graduating, they're going to need some professional references on their side when they're filling out those applications. So, getting in with a supervisor, a faculty or staff member working on campus is going to be a great way to go ahead and start building up a good resource there. And you never know where those connections can lead either. And then I saved the best for last. It's just fun to work on campus. If you'll picture it kind of in your mind, if you'll conjure up an image of like, it's a fall Friday afternoon, it's the weekend of a home game. ESPN's here setting up, there's music, there's people on campus. Like the vibe is unmatched, and you're not going to see that at Target and Opelika, right? So we feel like it's just fun to work on campus. And so we like to say that at Auburn, there's a place for everyone. And that truly is the case for student worker positions because we have student workers doing literally everything on campus. We have them in all departments. We have about 8,000 employed currently or at any time. And so you really run the gamut every thing from, maybe filing all the way up to, doing really complex IT work. And so there is a job out there that fits your student's personality, working style, schedule. So maybe you have a student who's a little bit of an introvert. That's okay. We've got back office positions that they can work in. Maybe your student is an extrovert. They might work with a fundraising team or for athletic events or something like that. So got a lot of different jobs. We allow our supervisors to build student jobs around any set of work responsibilities within reason. So that means that any faculty or staff member can create a student position and say, I want it to do XYZ. So there's a lot of variety in that, and there's something that will fit your student. Here's just some examples, some broad categories of jobs that we have available at pretty much any given time. Definitely have a lot of office administrative clerical type positions where they're manning a front desk, answering the phone, maybe they're running some errands, going to purchase things. We have jobs that are in front of people. So working at the bookstore, being a cashier, or working in our dorms, doing some sort of fundraising activities. We've got sports and fitness, we've got research, we have events set up. If your student likes to be outdoors, we've got some outdoor positions, community-based roles, such as with our extension program or working summer camps or some sort of educational type thing. And then, of course, our College of Veterinary and our College of Agriculture offer some opportunities to work with animals as well. So as you can see here, we're kind of running the gamut of different types of jobs here. And so if you're wondering what it's like to work on campus, we have a little short video here I'd like to share with you to give you perspectives of several of our student employees.
Hi everyone, my name is Huang Niu.
Hi, my name is Ryan Maddox.
Hey, my name is Lainey Rowe.
Hey y'all, I'm Grace Sand.
I'm Sydney Kelly.
Hi, my name is Colby Axford.
Hi, I'm McKinley.
Hi, my name is Marissa Pellet.
Hey, I'm Addison Hart.
Hey, my name is Jaden McMillan.
And I'm a student worker in the College of Ed.
I'm an Auburn Youth Programs camp counselor.
I'm a student involvement assistant.
I am a lead peer consultant.
And I'm a student ambassador with the Office of Academic Affairs.
I work in marketing and e-commerce at the Auburn University bookstore.
I'm an involvement ambassador at Auburn University.
I'm an Auburn Youth Programs camp counselor.
I'm a graduate program assistant for University of Reading.
I like working at the Auburn University Raptor Center because it allows me to work alongside people who are passionate about the same dreams that I am.
The advice I give for students considering an on-campus job would be if you have the time to do it, because
you miss all the shots that you don't take. One, it is so much fun being here. It's very encouraging. It's very thrilling. I mean, it's just something about being here and, sharing the Auburn tradition with some students that's outside of Auburn.
it's a good way for you just to kind of grow as a person while you're at Auburn.
This is a great place for me to practice all the theories I learned through my courses, and then I feel like it's very helpful for people as well.
I looked for student worker positions and I stumbled upon this one, and I am so thankful for this, and my Auburn experience would not be the same without it.
It's just so inspirational to be able to give back to the school that gives so much to us.
I knew from the moment I went on a tour of Auburn and learned about the Writing Center that I wanted to work in the Writing Center.
Ultimately, I wanted to be a student ambassador for the vet school because I genuinely love this program so much, and it's such an honor for me to be able to represent this school and to show prospective students and their families around.
One word to describe my student employee experience is involved.
Rewarding.
Being comfortable.
Inspiring. Independence.
Awesome.
Make connections.
Fun.
Exciting because I just love the community and the family that Auburn has to offer.
It's such a gift and such a blessing to be able to make Auburn what it is.
All right, so that's just a couple of our talented student workers on the job. And so we've got a little something out there for everybody. Now I want to talk about some of the very basic things that you need to know about working on campus. So first is eligibility. So if you have a student enrolled in classes at Auburn, they are eligible to be working on campus. So to continue that eligibility, they need to be enrolled and taking classes during the semester that they want to work. Or when we call this the sandwich rule, they can not take classes during a semester and still remain eligible to work as long as they were taking classes the semester before and are enrolled in classes the semester after. So I'll give you an example here. So say your student is taking classes in the spring and is taking classes in the fall, but maybe they want to take the summer off from classes, but they want to work on an on-campus job, they can totally do that. So that's what we call the sandwich rule, because employment has to be sandwiched between 2 semesters to remain eligible. Okay, working hours. Students can work up to 20 hours a week during the fall and spring semesters. And the reason that we cap it at 20 hours is because, as I said earlier, their number one job here is to get their degree. So we want to make sure that we are not taking advantage of them and working them to death while they're trying to do that. However, during summer and during the breaks, they can work up to 40 hours to earn a little bit of extra money there. This is inclusive of all campus jobs. So that means students can have more than one campus job, but that 20-hour rule still applies. So they may have one job that they're working in the library for 10 hours a week, and maybe one that they're working with Campus Rec for 10 hours a week, but it still has to fall within that 20-hour maximum. So The working hours vary by department. So a lot of our departments on campus are going to be your traditional, like Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 type deal. However, you're going to have other offices and services that have extended hours. So you're going to have, campus rec that may be open longer, the College of Veterinary Medicine that operates like 24 hours a day. You're going to have some that have some extended hours as well. So just that's something for your student to keep in mind when they're looking at job postings. So that leads me to, how do we find a job posting? So we have a website, it's auemployment.com, that will be changing here within the next about month and a half or so, and we'll have a new website. But generally, if you or your student Google Auburn University jobs, the correct URL is going to come up. So if you go and look at the site right now, we have all of our current student positions posted. And then we'll transition to that new site, and which is actually going to be a great thing. So that means that any student jobs that aren't really going to be filled will be taken down, and we'll have a fresh set to work from going forward in March. One thing to keep in mind is that there are some shady individuals out there trying to take advantage of our students, and they could potentially try and fish information from students by pretending that they have a job offer. We've seen that happen a couple times. So if your student gets an email from some professor that they've never met about a job that they've never applied for, and it says like, hey, I'm offering you this job, send me your social security number so we can get you set up in the system. Just know that that's a red flag, that we have an apply process and a hiring process. So they would definitely know if they were selected for a position. So just keep that in mind, because we do have some individuals that want to prey on our students. Okay, let's move on to job search strategy, because I highly recommend that your student have a strategy in applying for jobs and not just kind of throwing it at the wall and seeing what sticks. So the first thing that your student needs to do, and hopefully they have by now, but if not, take a little longer to do this, and that is just get acclimated to their schedules, where they're living on campus, and planning out those logistics for where in their schedule can they realistically fit a student job. And maybe that's already happened by now and they're ready for that next step, but they're eligible to go ahead and apply for jobs, and maybe they already have been. The other part of this strategy is finding a job that really works for them. So can they meet the demands of that schedule? Can they make it to work on time? So is one of their classes at one building and their job is totally on the other side of campus, and it's unrealistic to get there on time? That's something that they need to kind of map out. Also think through whether the pay is acceptable, and will they enjoy this job, because we want them to enjoy their time at Auburn. And if they're working in a job they absolutely hate, then they're not enjoying that. I may have said this before, but students can have multiple jobs. We encourage students to apply for all the jobs that they feel they are interested in and can make work. So it's not going to offend campus rec if your student applies for 5 campus rec student positions. So we say volume is their friend. So put in as many as they're interested in. So the next step is let's land this job, right? So there are going to be opportunities for students to attach their resume to a job posting. Not all of them will require this at this time. Now, in March in our new system, all jobs will require a resume, but for right now, not all of them do. But we do suggest that students attach that, because a resume is just a more user reader friendly way for our supervisors to get a feel for that student. Looking at just the application is a little lacking in my opinion. So I always recommend that our students attach a resume. Most of our students have one by this point, because our career education folks in high school are preparing them to create resumes. So if they don't, though, then you may have been acquainted with the Career Discovery and Success Center on campus, and they can help with building resumes, they can help with interviewing, and they can help with job searches in general on or off campus. One thing that I really love about them is that they can do some mock interviews. They can do that either live at their center, or they have some software technology that students can utilize. It's like an AI thing that they can interview with, and it will give them tips on like, here's what you can do better. Maybe you said too many times, which I have a tendency to do. So that's a really cool thing for them to take advantage of if they need a little help ramping up to this job search. The other thing that I would recommend is just make sure that they have some appropriate clothing to wear. We have had some students that show up in clothing that is maybe not consistent with the dress code for the department. So make sure they have something nice, at least to interview in until they figure out what that dress code is. The Career Discovery and Success Center also has a campus career closet as well. So if that's something that you want to take advantage of, students can get a number of different pieces from their career closet to use for interviewing. So let's talk timing. That's probably one of the most important things to this group. Sometimes it can take a long time to hear back about an application, and we hate that. The reason for that is that our departments are kind of to their own devices when it comes to hiring students. They are able to open jobs, close jobs, start interviewing, and hire whenever they want. And we have some departments that are super, super quick to throw a posting up, get started, hire students, close that posting, move on with life, right? We have other departments that their preference is to just keep some job postings up for the entire academic year. That is honestly one of my pet peeves. But we have some that do that. So just know that there are some job postings that will stay up for an extended amount of time, and supervisors will pull applications throughout the semester, throughout the academic year. As we move forward into our new system this year, we do plan to kind of put a cap on those job postings so that we can decrease the amount of postings that we have to make sure that they're just live postings where there are immediate needs. So if your student is selected for a position, there is an onboarding process that they need to take part in. So that goes back to what I was saying about scams a little while ago. They will know if they are like officially an employee of the university because there are all these HR hoops that we make them jump through. So if they haven't gone through an onboarding process, then they are not an employee of the university. And as I said, the timing can vary based on the department. As for the actual hiring process, once a student is contacted, interviewed, and selected, generally it can take just a couple of weeks, a week to a couple of weeks, depending on if a background check is needed. And background checks are only needed for a small portion of undergraduate student positions. So if your student is diligently applying for jobs and hasn't heard anything, or has met with some supervisors and isn't having any luck, there's a couple things that they can do. So first, and I hate to say this, but it's build some off-campus work experience just to get a little bit of something on their resumes, just to build up some soft skills, some confidence so that they can interview on campus and get selected. It is tough to get a job on campus sometime. And the reason for that is purely just volume. We have a lot of students and we have a limited amount of campus positions for them, although we do have quite a few. Another thing they can do is, as I said, visit Career Discovery and Success and see if there's any ways that that team can kind of help tweak, get them in the right direction. And then our team is also available for advice. I'll have some contact information at the end of this slide deck. So I would say if it's been a full semester and your student has had no luck whatsoever, it might be worth contacting our team, and then we can take a look at the jobs that they've applied for, take a look at their resume and application materials, and get your student kind of moving in the right direction. And sometimes the answer may be you're doing everything right, it just hasn't happened yet. So that's why we say volume is their friend. To keep applying, just keep on going. So as I said, there is an official onboarding process once a student is selected for a position. Parents, you probably have gone through this at your employers as well. It's called the I-9 Federal Employment Eligibility Verification process. That is something that everyone who works in the U.S. has to do in their first few days of work. And basically what this process does is it produces documents that shows the government that you are who you say you are and you're eligible to work in the US. So those documents can be a number of different documents. That QR code will take you to a list of them, though it is also a national federal requirement, so it's easy to find online as well. But it could be, for example, your driver's license and a social security card, or a US passport by itself. There's a combination of different documents that your student can produce in order to complete the onboarding process. So students cannot perform any work until that is done, because if they do, we're going to have to send them home until they complete this process. So the reason we like to tell parents about this is so if you don't know where your child's original Social Security card is, and that's what one of the documents that you need, this gives you a chance to go find that, and try to avoid, like a 2-day air shipping type situation to get it to your student. But just keep this in mind. Photocopies cannot be accepted. It has to be original documents or certified copies. Okay, so we're manifesting that every student in this particular group of parents is going to get an on-campus job if they want one. So let's talk about ways to keep that job once we have it, right? Because as I said, it's pretty competitive to get a student job. So if your student is able to get one, we want them to keep it. So the first is come to work on time. Limit calling out. We understand things happen, and our supervisors are super flexible, especially with breaks and things like that and class schedules. So in addition to that, let's make sure that our students are not, every other day calling in saying, I'm not going to make it. We want them to be seen as reliable. We also want our students to dress in alignment with the dress code. We're going to have some departments that are super casual, like shorts are fine, shorts and t-shirts are totally fine, athleisure. We're going to have some that require a little bit of a step up from that. Like in my particular department, no shorts are allowed here, and no crop tops. So that's just something that your student is going to want to keep in mind and make sure that they're adhering to. In addition to that, it's really important that our student workers have just an eagerness to learn and contribute, and don't act like they're being punished by working in our offices. We want them to be excited about the work that they're doing, to learn about it so that they can get some value of it and take it to their careers after Auburn. And then here at Auburn, we say that we work with a spirit of excellence. And so that also extends to our student employees as well. We want our student employees to do their very best, put their best foot forward, and help us sort of achieve that spirit of excellence here at the university. Okay, so if you have any questions, I think Kevin's going to take some questions here in a second, but if you want to take down our email address, you certainly can if you think of something later. You can also find our information at any point in time. If you Google student employment at Auburn, my whole team will pop up and you can pick any one of us to chat with, and we can give you some guidance if you need it. So Kevin, I'll kind of turn it back to you now.
Absolutely. And big thanks to Jenna for leading that presentation. Really great information. So if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I will just read those off to Jenna. So we'll just go ahead and get started with that now. All right, first question, Jenna, do you know if there are jobs for Army ROT students specifically?
I would think so. I don't know that I've seen those specifically, at least it's not jumping to mind, but as I said, we've got student workers in pretty much every department, so I would assume we have them in those as well.
Yeah, for sure. Is there a grade or a GPA requirement to be a student worker on campus?
They just have to be in good academic standing.
Okay, good deal. And so just for clarification, that is not on academic probation, not on academic suspension. So there's not necessarily a GPA requirement, but as long as you're not falling into one of those categories.
Not that I'm aware of anyways, but I'm happy to follow up offline and get a specific answer for that.
Yeah. When would a student apply for a summer job?
So the best time to do that would probably be about mid-March, I would say, because you want to apply early, but also close enough to where if a department wants to hire you, it's not so far out that they're like, oh, I need this person immediately. So mid-March is typically what we would expect. And then for fall semester, if they're looking to work in spring semester, October, if they're looking to work for fall semester, I would say mid-June.
Cool. And then I want to circle back on that ROTC question. So that was actually jobs that work well with ROTC demand. So I know like a lot of ROTC students require, have to get up early for PT or early for classes. I will let you speak, Jenna, but I know there's a variety of jobs that have a variety of flexibility. So I would think the answer to that is yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. all of our job postings should have how many hours a week that job expects to work. And then hopefully they've got some sort of a schedule on there as well to know what to anticipate. But I would say we have so many rigorous student schedules that some of these jobs work around, and I would say our OTC is no different.
All right. So where is the Career Discovery Center and Auburn's HR office is located? So I know Career Discovery and Success is over in Mary Martin Hall. How about y'all, Jenna?
So they actually moved. So they're in Foy now, which
Good
is
to
directly
know.
behind Samford. Yep. And then our office is actually located about 2 miles off campus. It's a We've got some easy parking out here if your student has a vehicle. If your student doesn't have a vehicle, Tiger Transit has a stop right out front as well. So it is still pretty convenient to campus. And that is where Central HR is located and where our teams are located, and also our onboarding center. So if your student is to get a student job, they'll come out here to us to do their I-9 and other tasks.
Yeah, for sure. So the next question has to do with, a student who applied for a job back in October and has yet to hear anything back yet. In that type of situation, would you say it's best for the student to kind of move on from that position, or do you think that that could just be a delay?
So it depends. As I said, there are some sort of evergreen postings that remain up. And I would say if it looks like one of those, and you can kind of tell based on the posting date. So if it was posted in early 2025 and it's still open, that's one that we consider more of a pool where they're just sort of taking applications as they have slots that are available. But I would say don't lose hope, but I wouldn't put in all your eggs in one basket, so to speak, about a certain job. I would continue to apply for others and seek out other options.
Yeah, for
And of
sure.
course, contact us too, and we can kind of, behind the scenes look and see, oh, that job is really tough to get, or there's 300 students in this pool, and this is one that they're just continually pulling from throughout the academic year. We might be able to provide some specific insight to your
Yeah.
student.
Yeah. And to clarify, Jenna, you mean have the student reach out to you, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that gives me a little soapbox to stand on here briefly, Kevin, but
Yeah.
we do want our students to initiate all of the communication about their jobs, because
Mhm.
we can't tell you as the parent anything about their application or their status.
Yeah. All right. So are most jobs by the semester or by the academic school year?
It depends. We'll have some jobs that are semester based in nature. We'll have some jobs like here in our department. If we get an awesome student worker, we want to keep them until they graduate. So it really kind of depends. And that's something that would be a great question for your student to ask the supervisor in an interview, is how
Mhm.
long we anticipate this position lasting.
Yeah.
And hopefully that department's going to put that in the posting to begin with.
Yeah, for sure. Would you say, is there anything stopping a part-time student from getting a job as opposed to a full-time student?
No.
Yeah. So as long as active student here in good standing, doesn't matter how many hours they're enrolled in.
Yep.
Yeah. And then are jobs available now, or do students need to wait until March? I'm assuming that's for the summer, but correct me if I'm wrong on this, Jenna. Like if it's open now, go ahead and apply, and then maybe talk to the supervisor about the start date if it's not listed within the application.
Yeah, that's perfect. I will say, as we get closer to the middle of spring semester, there will be more jobs, because what happens is about that time, our departments start panicking about students who are graduating. They're like, oh, I've got to replace the student worker who's about to graduate. So you'll see an influx of more jobs the closer we get to the end of the semester for summer.
Are there any upcoming job fairs where students can get hired on the spot? This person says my student hasn't had any luck applying for jobs for a couple of semesters.
Yeah, I don't know about on the spot, but we will be having what we call the Weagle Worker Job Expo
Mhm.
in April. It's mid-April. Your student will get so many emails and communications about this coming up. So just make sure to remind them to attend. They'll be able to come and just talk to representatives from all different departments on campus. It's not always the supervisors themselves, but it'll be someone from those departments, and they can talk through about what it's like to work in that department, probably can't get into interview type questions, but they can at least tell you what's available there or
Yeah.
what's coming down the pipeline. It's really good exposure for the student too, just to get to know someone in that specific area. So we've had a lot of students attend that event, and so we're excited about this year's as well.
Yeah, and just building off that Weagle Workers Expo Fair, is that for
Mhm.
summer only, or is that for fall jobs too?
It's for any jobs, period,
Mm,
any student worker
yeah,
positions, period. Yep.
gotcha. So this is a question that says, what jobs would be good for engineering students? And Jenna, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it seems like there's a variety of jobs that could fit with a variety of student backgrounds, and a lot of those questions would be better suited for that specific supervisor, kind of depending on what the student's looking for.
Yeah, if they're wanting to stay close to their major, then obviously working in the College of Engineering
Sure.
is probably the way to go, even if it is a clerical type role, because it could open up some opportunities
Mhm.
doing some more engineering related activities. But I think it depends on what the student's goals are for employment during college. So if that's just to earn some money, then I would say do anything. But if it needs to be career related or they want it to be career related, I would say try and stick within the college.
For sure. If a student has already had an on-campus job, do they have to go through the onboarding process again, or is that just a one-time thing?
More than likely, they will have to go through it again.
All right. And then this question is specific to the library specifically. It says, is it really competitive to get a library job, even if you've had past library experience at a different library? And then do most jobs at the library require students to work nights?
So all our jobs are pretty competitive. I wouldn't say the library is, any more or less significantly, but previous experience in a library is definitely going to give your student a leg up in the competition, and not all positions are night positions.
Those are all the questions that I have for now. So let's give a couple more minutes. And if anybody has questions, feel free to go ahead and put those in the chat. While we're waiting on those, I do want to mention as well, our next Family Connection Hour session is on February the 11th at 6 p.m. That is about the opportunity to get involved as a Parent and Family Association board member or ambassador. So I put a link with a little bit more information about that in the chat, and you can sign up for that as well if you'd like. And then we've got a variety of additional sessions throughout the semester. I'm going to put the full schedule in the chat as well if you'd like to take a look at that. While we're waiting on some time, Jenna, did you have a student worker job while you were in college?
I did, yes. I worked in our on-campus. I went to Troy University, but we
Mhm.
had a number of recreational facilities. So I worked as a front desk person at one of those facilities, and then
Okay.
I ended up in the back office. But I found it to be a really valuable experience because not only was it sort of a toe in the water, if you will, of
Mhm.
learning how to be an employee in an office type environment, which is where I would, ultimately end up. But it also was a great way for me to meet people. I learned a lot about, I guess, just employment in general. So I
Mhm.
ended up in HR, and back in those days, was doing payroll for our recreational facilities, collecting hours from our other student workers. And so it actually did end up contributing to what would end up being my career. So you never really know how valuable that student worker experience is going to end up being.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll say I went to Mississippi State University. I worked at the library for a couple of years, and then I had a brief stint as a front desk worker in the communications department. So not exactly the direct correlation that you had, Jenna, but good experience as well. So, all right. Well, I don't see any additional questions here. So if that's all the questions that you have, we're going to wrap things up and just say a big thank you to Jenna for sharing her time. This session is recorded and it will be shared with everybody who is registered for it. So if you had to come in a little bit late or drop off a little bit early, you can catch the full session. I'll email that this afternoon along with the survey just to get your feedback and let us know if there's anything you'd like to see differently in the future. But thanks again, Jenna, and thank you all for joining. Y'all have a great afternoon.
Thanks, guys.